On behalf of Embarcadero Technologies, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, ER Studio Data Lineage, Supercharging Compliance and Reporting of Data Integration Products. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Charlotte LaViolet, and I am the GoToWebinar organizer for today's event. Joining me from Embarcadero today is Saul Waters, Product Line Sales Manager for ER Studio, and Anand Rao, ER Studio Product Marketing Manager. And with that, over to you, Anand.
Thank you, Charlotte. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to talk more about ER Studio Data Lineage and what it can do for you for each of your reporting and compliance projects. So let me go over a brief agenda to you. First, we'll talk about the value of an ETL metadata manager. Many of you have ETL tools, and I wanted to talk about the values an ETL manager will provide you. We want to give you a demo of all the different scenarios that you could use the ETL metadata manager, and then I would end with a bunch of resources that talks about where you could get more information, view some recorded demos, and get a trial of the product. So let's begin. Why we need an ETL metadata manager. So many of you are familiar with the ETL tools that move a large volume of data. So currently, most of the data integration process is tribal knowledge. So not long ago, getting data from a database and making it available in a data warehouse was a huge labor-intensive and time-sucking task. So with ETL tools, the task has been mostly automated. The problem has now evolved into how do we keep track of all these extractions? How do we know what data has been transformed? How do we know how that data has been transformed? And how do we know what data has been successfully loaded into the database? So the tribal knowledge contains all the custom SQL that is used, the locations of the parameter files used in the ETL mapping, and all this very, very specific data that is mostly undocumented. And then once you have this, the major activities include the data governance and the tracing of anomalies. So let me get to that. So as I briefly mentioned, the complex task is to document these data movements and transformations and tie them to the sources and targets. So without this tracking abilities, activities such as research, data governance, and the tracing of anomalies and outliers become large, complex, and time-consuming activities. So time-consuming activity has moved from the actual movement of data to the documenting of all these transformations so that any kind of errors that occur can be easily and quickly narrowed down to. So an ETL metadata manager seeks to alleviate this problem by importing complex ETL transforms as a visual diagram that is stored in and made available from a central repository. So you don't have to go out there, buy an additional license from an ETL vendor, which are very expensive. You need this license for an additional repository from the ETL vendor, an additional CPU license perhaps. Here you get the benefit of the same functionality as well as the benefit of it being cross-ETL. So let me go into the benefits a little more. So the ETL metadata manager benefits from this multi-ETL visibility. So you can display data lineage from a single view across multiple ETL and data integration products. So many of you would have in your environment Informatica Power Center, Microsoft SSIS, IBM DataStage, or several of the other products out there from Oracle or SAP. Here you get a single view of all your ETL platforms. I touched upon this earlier. By doing the documentation and storing it in a centralized, usable method, You reduce the tribal knowledge and hence the risk associated of losing that tribal knowledge. So you get an overall picture of the database systems, the data flow processes, and how all this is connected. In addition, there is this whole push in organizations for compliance to certain enterprise standards. So this documentation allows you to monitor the ETL processes to these enterprise standards once you import them into ER Studio. ER Studio Data Lineage also reduces your development cost and time by improving collaboration between the business analysts, the ETL team, as well as the data architects. This is enabled by a portal where you can include comments and labels that allow you to better collaborate with cross-functional teams. And finally, and most importantly, you can easily trace anomalies. So you can, once a BI report goes out there to an executive, you can, and there's an error found, you can easily backtrack and answer the key question, where does this data come from? So because all your ETL transforms are summarized and documented